Happy Easter all! This is GreenyXI welcoming you right back to Let's Play Umineko. This is episode 15. I say Happy Easter. By the time this goes up, it might be a week later or something. But the sentiment is there. In the last episode, it was quite a big bit of progression actually, where Aunt Natsui is now the only adult left in the Shiramaya family to be alive. And that means that she has, say, with her rifle, looks like a shotgun to me, but I play COD, so maybe there's a difference there. And she got rid of the 3 servants who were left, as well as Maria, from the safe room, Kinzo's study, or Kinzo's little house inside the mansion. So, let's get going and see how that turns out. After we chased them out, nobody wanted to say anything. All of the suspicious ones had been driven away. Even though we knew there might be some innocents among them, we still did it. We chased them out to this paradise, where people don't have to suspect each other. But our motive for chasing them out was suspicion of one person towards another, the worst kind of crime for a human. If we had accepted the existence of a 19th person, of the witch, then we all might still be talking face to face, trusting each other. In that instant, we had agreed to chase out all the suspicious people. But had that been the right thing to do? During this endless silence, we could do nothing but quietly tormented by that sin. Aunt Natsui faced the door without letting go of her rifle for even an instant, sitting far back in the sofa. She would probably spend the night staring at the door without a wink of sleep. George and Nikki gazed through a gap in the closed curtains by the window, looking down at the courtyard and the mansion that surrounded it. I didn't know whether he was checking to see if a suspicious shadow would become visible through the window, or whether he was wondering to himself about something. Jessica was sitting sideways on the sofa next to Aunt Natsui with a dead expression on her face. And every once in a while, as though she'd just remembered something, she'd take out the inhaler she'd used during her asthma attack and stick it in her mouth. I just heard it from Aniki, but apparently Jessica liked Kanan-kun. It was apparently so vague that she hadn't realised it herself. You know, it's the kind of thing other people tend to spot before the person in question realises it, which means she might have first learned of her feelings when the person she liked died. It must have been so terrible, so sad. Come to think of it, Kanan-kun was the one who handed her that inhaler. Maybe she was remembering that. I was fishing around Grandfather's study, thinking I'd researched the meaning of the magic circle on the letter's second sheet. Even though we were shut up here in a defensive position, my rebellious nature made me want to find some key, some way to resist. After all, we've got plenty of time before tomorrow morning. Who could fault me for how I used that time? No one else showed that much interest in this magic circle. Its meaning was unknown, and once we understood it, we were sure to find some message that would cause us unnecessary anguish. I felt the same way. However, I couldn't just ignore it, so I killed time by going through the motions of researching it. You sure are enthusiastic. Did you find anything that might serve as a hint? Not a thing. First tough part's finding a book written in Japanese. Just how many languages could Grandfather read? He's incredible. Aren't you tired, Battler-kun? You should take a rest while someone else stays awake. Aunt Natsui said she'd stay up all night for us. There's no way her body can handle that. We should take turns sleeping. Then you sleep first, Aniki. I'll keep researching till I get sleepy. You mean that magic circle just now? Yeah. We've got plenty of time to kill. I thought it'd be interesting to find out what kind of message Beatrice-sama put in it. Give it a rest. Mess around with stuff like that and you'll end up getting possessed by something weird. Don't worry. I've been certified by Maria. She said I've got no spiritual talent at all. Oh, take her words. Were we too cruel to Maria? Jessica, you mustn't think that now. But Mom, if Maria wasn't involved, and it's a culprit beside her, then she's obviously a soft target for the murderer. If she's killed because of this, then we've just left her to die. A gloomy silence settled once again. It looked like Jessica regretted letting her emotions take hold of her and snapping at Maria. She's always been like that. Always acting tough and regretting it later. I understand how you feel, but Maria was in close contact with the culprit, and she might have been siding with them, talking like that over and over to further confuse matters. I'm relieved that we chased them out. That's pretty harsh, Aunt Natsui. Couldn't it just have been the nonsense of a 9-year-old girl? It probably wasn't very convincing to hear that coming from me. I myself thought Maria was creepy on several occasions, even doubting her true nature. And when Maria was chased out of the room, I couldn't deny I'd felt some relief. If that's the case, then tomorrow we will apologise for what we did. I will take full responsibility for chasing them out of this room. This isn't something the rest of you have to worry about. I could feel a tragic determination in Aunt Natsui's words. To protect her own daughter, she had resolutely chased out the suspicious ones. And if as a result she had to watch the people who had unfortunately been suspected die, so be it. She was prepared to take full responsibility. Why does Maria have to keep saying stuff like that? She's bringing about her own ruin. I think the reason Maria-chan adores witches and magic so much might be Aunt Rosa. Aunt Rosa? What'd she have to do with this? Didn't you realise it too, Battler-kun? Maria-chan's real father ran off somewhere a long time ago. Although Aunt Rosa tried to confuse the issue by saying he's on a foreign business trip. Talking about Rosa-san's family has become a kind of taboo in the Ashura-maya family. I think Aunt Rosa thought about remarrying, but I also believe Maria-chan may have become her shackles and made that quite difficult. After all, she sometimes got really emotional and hit Maria-chan. I agree with you there. It looked like Aunt Rosa was trying hard to like Maria, which means that she didn't really like her. She might have thought of Maria as someone who stood in the way of her remarrying. I think that emotional rejection from her mother must have left some deep scars on her young heart. So she learned about this occult hobby from somewhere and immersed herself in it to bury the holes in her heart. Did you know? To Maria-chan, the image of a witch isn't negative at all. Remember yesterday at the beach when she showed us her notebook? Yeah. It was full of all those fun-looking scribbles. Yesterday, when we were down by the beach, doubting the witch, Maria got all riled up and started explaining about witches. And not one of the pages had shown a picture of an ugly witch. They were all brightly coloured, beautiful, cute witches who looked like they were having fun. There was absolutely nothing sinister about them, like a boy might have imagined. There were beings adorned with beautiful dresses who could grant anyone's dreams with their mysterious magic and who made everyone happy. Maria felt the sorrow of not being loved by her mother. Had she sought help from witches as beings who could give her happiness and save her? Someday a witch would come, and using her wonderful magic would bring Maria happiness. Even though she believed that, as she grew older, she had to face reality as her fleeting dreams were sliced to ribbons one by one. If something claiming to be the witch of Okanjima appeared in front of a girl like that, whispering that she'd take Maria to the Golden Land, where Maria could be happy. No, it has come to this. I want to confess what's in my heart. Throwing out Maria-chan, no, Genji-san and the rest too, was probably the wrong thing to do, I think. It wasn't pleasant. Since Jessica had been the one to face them and slam them with words of rejection, her conscience must be tormenting her a lot right now. Then how do you all explain that letter? No one could have said it there except the 4 people standing behind us. I made sure of that with my own eyes. If those 4 are innocent, how was that letter placed in a closed room with 8 people? That's right. When you put it that way, those 4 really do seem suspicious. But it's all useless. It's all useless. Useless? What is? Right. It might not be worth anything anymore, but let me spin the chessboard around again. In other words, if one of those 4 really was the culprit, isn't that weird? That's right. Wasn't setting that letter openly on the table the same as confessing that one of them was the culprit? You're right, that's weird. If they were gonna do it, you'd think they'd put it in the crack of the door, for example, to make it look like someone had slipped it in from the outside. Of course, they should have known that they'd be suspected if they didn't make it look like the culprit was outside the room. That's it exactly. If the culprit was one of those 4, setting that letter right in the middle of the table would be both risky and meaningless. But, putting aside whatever trick was used to set it there, if we assume that the culprit is someone other than those 4, in other words, someone who was outside the room, then they had a lot to gain from that letter. Enough, Battler-kun. It's meaningless to discuss such matters now. Natsui-san quickly guessed what I was getting at. No, Maybe she had thought of it long before I had, and had simply held her tongue. If the culprit's outside the room, then they'd be totally stuck the moment we shut ourselves up in a closed room like this. That's right. It's the same as my theory about how Grandfather disappeared from this room, isn't it? That theory was that Grandfather left the room of his own accord. If the culprit used some tactic to lure him out, and Grandfather left of his own accord, then... Come to think of it, when we found the scorpion magic circle on the doorknob to the study, Maria said it herself. Beatrice couldn't get through this door, but she could induce someone to leave of their own accord. Which would mean we fell for the culprit's trap completely, and sent out some new potential sacrifices. Genji and the rest aren't fools. When they try to protect themselves, they should find the next safest place after this room. They'll definitely be able to hide themselves there. Aunt Natsui hadn't answered the question. Aunt Natsui herself had realised that if the culprit wasn't in our group back then, that letter would make sense as a trap. However, it wasn't worth the risk of calling back the people she had once thrown out. To Aunt Natsui, right now, her greatest and only duty was to protect the children. By her thinking, in order to do that, a few sacrifices were unavoidable. Hey Aunt Natsui, let me say something a little harsh, okay? At that time, what if, by coincidence, Jessica had also been standing behind you? Would you have chased Jessica from the room too? It's true that a lot of brutal things have happened, but as a mother, you thought you should protect your daughter no matter what. Because of that duty, you chased them out, even though you knew that you'd eventually be held responsible for it. It's not like I'm condemning that, but I was just thinking about what a great mother Jessica has. That's right. You've been dealing with these incidents since morning, and you've been pulling all of us along this whole time, without losing your composure. If you were all confused too, the rest of us would probably be in the culprit's grasp by now. So I think we all have to thank you. Yeah, Natsui's done really well. She's always been the weak link. Rosa probably more so, but mostly Natsui. She's always had the headaches in family arguments. She's always had to leave the arguments, and but she's done really well, I think. Thank you. So what you two are trying to say is that you want her to act as Maria's mother too? I always thought of Maria as a real little sister and adored her, and yet a few things happened. We got a little confused, and I've said a lot of mean things to her, hurting her. Mom, please, let's stay together with Maria. No, everyone. There was no culprit among us. The culprit in this case is the witch, Beatrice, okay? So let's stop suspecting each other. Aunt Natsui closed her eyes for a short while. Was she coping with a throbbing headache again? Or was she thinking of something? You were my precious daughter, the one I finally received a whole 12 years after I married my husband. I would become the worst kind of demon to protect you. That was some pretty strong language at the end there. She realised very well that her words were an idealised view of what a mother should be. But even so, she was strongly resolved to protect her daughter, even if she had to become a demon. But that was her guilty conscience tormenting her. Today's been so long. So many things happened in one day. We've been driven into a corner so thoroughly. I wonder if we have the right to greet tomorrow the way we are now. There it is. I found it. It's this magic circle. Inside the book I'd been flipping through, I had found the same magic circle that had been drawn on the second sheet of the letter. George and Nikki peered at it as well. This magic circle's name was the Third Magic Circle of Mars. The Hebrew written on it was from Psalm 77 verse 13 of the Old Testament. What God is so great as our God? The meaning of the magic circle was discord. Agitate internal divisions and cause the enemy to bring about their own downfall. So split them up, and they did. Wait a sec. Seriously? Could there be a more fitting way to describe our current situation and mental state? We couldn't help but be stunned into silence. So, this letter was a trap? How did they place it here? There wasn't anyone in this room except for the 8 of us, right? Anyway, let's ignore how they got in here for now. The culprit was after just one thing. They wanted to spread the seeds of doubt inside this impregnable room and use us to throw the sacrificial sheep out. In that case, they were after the people who went out of the room. Mom, what should we do? Those 4 are in danger. It wasn't surprising that Aunt Natsui remained unpleasantly silent. Even if this was all a trap by the culprit, even if the 4 who had been chased out of the room were in danger, it had nothing to do with the safety of the 4 people in here. And there was no way to prove the innocence of the 4 people we'd chased out. If we're willing to let them die, then we shouldn't leave this room no matter what. That way is safest. At that time, suddenly, the piercing sound of a phone rang through the room. It was the antique extension phone set on the table in Grandfather's study. I thought all the phones were cut. It had rung right after we started talking about the letter being a trap. It was natural we'd think of it as an SOS from the ones we chased out. But then Aunt Natsui spoke. Why a phone call? The phone should be broken down and unusable. Exactly. That doesn't matter. If that's Maria calling for help. If the problem with the phones was the culprit's work in the first place, then this call is probably... With that one sentence, the ring of the phone, which had once sounded like a scream for help, now started to sound like a ghastly lure from some unknown person. Aunt Natsui hesitated over whether to pick up the receiver. Let's pick it up, Aunt Natsui. The phones might have been fixed for some reason. It could still be an urgent call from Maria-chan and the rest. That's right. And if it actually is a call from the culprit, bring it on! Why don't we listen to what they've got to say? It's just a phone call. No matter what they babble through the receiver, it's not like it's going to hurt you. If you don't pick it up, then I will. I'll take it. Hello? I stretched out my hand to take the receiver, but Aunt Natsui grabbed it before I could reach. We all held our breath, trying to figure out who the person on the other end of the phone was. But for a while, Aunt Natsui kept saying hello. A silent phone call? There's no way Maria and the others would do something so creepy. Which means, could this phone call possibly, really be? Natsui stopped repeating hello and strained her ears, because she thought she heard something far away on the other end of the receiver. What was that? Huh? Is someone... singing? What do you mean, singing? I don't know. Faintly, from the other end of the phone, I can hear someone singing. I wonder what it could be. Give it here for a sec. Hello? I half forced the receiver from the stunned Aunt Natsui's hand and pressed it against my ear. At first I didn't hear anything, but because I had been told about it beforehand, I noticed. It sounded far away from the receiver, rather than someone speaking in a quiet voice. And it sounded like a girl singing a song. That voice did sound like Maria's. That just made the situation even more inexplicable. At the very least, the one who had made the phone call hadn't been Maria. After all, Maria was singing some song far away from the receiver. In that case, the one who made the phone call should have been Genji-san, Kumasawa-san, or Dr. Nanjo. And yet they weren't saying anything. Why? For what reason? The person who made this phone call? Who was it? Hey, hello? Who is it? Answer me! Is that Maria singing? Answer me! What's happening? What is it? I don't know. All I can say is, this is probably a trap, and Maria's in trouble. Aunt Natsui took the receiver again, but after yelling into it several more times, she realised that she wasn't getting anywhere and hung up. After that, she dialed quickly. Then she clicked her tongue. That's right, if the phones are working, we should be able to reach the police. But judging by Aunt Natsui's reaction, the outside telephone line still didn't connect. Let's go. Even if we know it might be a trap, we have to go. Yeah, definitely. Jessica, Aunt Natsui, stay here. When Aniki and I tried to dash out, Aunt Natsui stopped us. Hold it. I cannot let you go alone. I will go too. Jessica, wait here. Wait, so I'll be the only one left out? Nice try, but I'm going too. Might be better that way. If the goal of that phone call was to split us up further, it wouldn't be a good idea to leave someone to watch this room. There's no time to argue. Let's all go. Aunt Natsui raised the rifle high and took the lead. I couldn't go unarmed myself. I found a 3-pronged candle stand and readied it. Although the pins on it used to fit candles were short, it was almost like a 3-pronged spear. Then the 4 of us left the study. We left the study, which should have been the safest place inside the mansion. By doing this, we had been lured out, even though we had barricaded ourselves in a safe, closed room. Perhaps we were doing exactly the same thing Grandfather had done when he disappeared from that room. Maria, Where are you? Answer me. I listened closely but didn't hear anything. The mansion was vast, and since the passing typhoon was making its last stand, the sound of the rain was even noisier than before. Maria-chan said she wanted to watch TV in the parlour, right? Let's try going downstairs. That's right. Let's try there. Everyone, be mindful of your surroundings. Yeah. With Aunt Natsui in the centre, her rifle readied and her finger on the trigger, we moved in a group, our backs together, checking our surroundings in all directions. It's just as though the magic of our magic circle designed to spread discord had worked. We had split up and furthermore had been dragged out into dangerous territory. In other words, even now, we were doing just what the culprit wanted us to do. This was a separate world, where it wouldn't be odd for anything to suddenly occur. Aunt Natsui nervously pointed the barrel of the gun at every dark spot and shadow. It felt like that motion was out of fear rather than caution, but the rifle she held in her hand should have been a trump card that the culprit feared. You know, I've been thinking, it wouldn't be impossible to stick one of those ice picks into someone's chest, like in Canon-kun's case, but splitting the skull and sticking them into the forehead, like in my parents' case, wouldn't be that easy. You think the culprit had that kind of animal strength? They probably had some kind of weapon, a device that can shoot or pound those ice picks. That handle was too short to be driven in that deeply by human strength alone. Either way, they have enough force to break through a skull. I heard Cannon's wound reached as far as his lungs. If you happen to see your opponent, don't go forwards. You mustn't move away from my back. Just how sinister and frightening was the weapon that could shoot those creepy ice picks? And could I do anything to combat it with just this candle stand in my hand? In the first murder, the culprit probably assaulted all four of our parents at once as they discussed the inheritance problem in the dining hall. And there were four of us here now. Apparently, I wasn't the only person thinking this. George and Nikki, Jessica, and of course Aunt Natsui were stretching their senses to the utmost limit, in the highest and worst state of attention, slowly advancing one step, then another. What have we done? Because of the seeds of doubt spread by that one letter, we threw Maria and the rest into the middle of this terrifying world. We finally reached the first floor. The parlour was just across the hall. When we listened carefully, we could hear it faintly. Maria's eerie singing voice. She wasn't singing naturally, as though she were in a good mood. She was singing mechanically, like she was at a graduation ceremony and she'd been ordered to. The song she sang was just a common folk song, one that everyone has probably sung in school at one time or another. But why that, in the middle of the night, alone, with all her heart, over and over? Why? Right after leaving the study, we had called out in loud voices, asking Maria where she was. But this time, no one said even a single word. We heard our breath and the sound of our footsteps, and intensely focused on our surroundings to the point of being completely high-strung, we stepped forward. The door to the parlour was closed, but we could hear Maria's singing voice through it. Aunt Natsui put her hand on the handle of the doorknob, when George and Nikki stopped her. I'll open the door. Aunt Natsui, Battler-kun, ready your weapons. Understood. Take care. They might attack us as soon as we open it. George, Nisan, watch yourself. Sure. Then I'll open it. Huh? He tried to open it but immediately felt the hard resistance of the lock. Aunt Natsui took a bundle of keys from her pocket and gave them to George. There were about 10 keys. None of us had a clue which was which. Because of this, George had to fumble around loudly and test several of the keys. Since we had hidden our footsteps, preparing to make a surprise attack on the room, this felt almost fatal. The whole time, we could hear Maria's voice from the parlour, singing the same song over and over. It was like a broken, crazy cassette tape. We'd been in that room almost constantly since morning. All the frightening things that occurred outside that room, that had left us with the impression that only this room was safe. That baseless impression was quickly falling apart. It's open. Thank you. George-kun, Jessica, move behind me. Aunt Natsui, let's jump in at the same time and split up in different directions. If we just stand around after opening the door, those ice picks might fly right through the centre. I agree. Ready? I really wish I could say no. I readied myself. If they're going to be throwing ice picks, I'll whack them with this candle stand. Go! Aunt Natsuya and I rammed into the door before flying into the parlour, quickly splitting up left and right and searching the parlour for someone who might be waiting for us. But what our eyes landed upon was an incredibly strange sight. The parlour was stained with blood. This place, where we spent almost the entire day, where we pressed in together to protect ourselves from some unknown malice, had been stained with fresh blood, had become an ocean of blood. On the floor lay Genji-san, Kumasawa-san, and Dr. Nanjo, their entire bodies stained bright red with the blood. But the only way we could identify them was by their clothes. That was because... that's right. This is how the whole tragedy started. Their faces. Just like our smashed up parents in the shed, you couldn't tell where their eyes stopped and their noses began. It was as though they'd rudely plunged their faces into tomato pot pies, all squished up. Uah! And that wasn't all. Their bodies had other wounds. It was those demon ice picks. They were in Genji-san's stomach, Dr. Nanjo's thigh, no, his knee. That's right, of course it's his knee, the epitaph. In the epitaph, the 6th twilight was the stomach. On the 7th twilight, the knee was gouged. So after seeing one of them stuck near Kumasawa Ba-chan's calf, I couldn't help masochistically laughing. That's right. On the 6th twilight, gouged the stomach and kill. On the 7th twilight, gouged the knee and kill. On the 8th twilight, gouged the leg and kill. Now even the 8th twilight is over. And the next one, the 9th twilight. What was it again? Maria was there. She was facing the wall in the inner part of the room, standing stock still, completely alone. She faced away from this horrible scene, standing by the wall, singing her song over and over. There was nothing else in the room, just the corpses of the 3 who had been brutally killed, and the phone receiver, which was still off its hook, proving that this was the room the call had come from. Just that and Maria hid back to the sea as she kept on singing while facing the wall. We couldn't even scream at this bizarre scene. We could only stare, shocked, with our mouths hanging loosely open. Maria. Jessica called out to her, but Maria showed no reaction. Alone, she kept singing on and on. We'd come here, trying to save Maria from some approaching danger. So now that we had found her, we should have been running up to Maria, hugging her, joyous that she was safe. And yet, not one of us could do that. Everyone thought it, but they couldn't say it. After all, because, that's right, even if that's crazy, no, it couldn't be. Maria, stop singing. Are you listening? At some point, Aunt Natsuya and I had pointed our weapons at Maria's back. I yelled at Maria in a violent voice, but there was no reaction. She just kept singing. With the candle stand still readied, I ran up to her and forcefully, violently slammed my hand down on her shoulder. Then I pulled on her shoulder, forcing her to turn around. Ooh. Maria's small body was quickly pulled down and fell, and as though unhappy at having her singing interrupted, Maria looked into my face with her usual expression. Even in this gruesome situation, she was just like normal. Maria, what is this? Who did it? Oh, Beatrice. Cut that crap! I threw the candle stand I'd been holding against the wall. The violence of that reckless sound should have got straight into Maria's heart, but Maria's expression didn't change at all. Quit it, Battlecon. Maria-chan, this time you should have seen the face of the culprit who killed these 3. Was the culprit the same Beatrice who gave you the letter? Ooh, Beatrice. Well, in that case, it's certain. There's a 19th person, Beatrice does exist. Then Maria, will you at least tell me this much? How did they kill these 3 people? What did they use to kill them in such a brutal way? I don't know. How could you not know? It happened in this room. Are you trying to tell me you were so absorbed in singing that you didn't notice? Calm down, Battlecon. Maria-chan, talk to me, okay? George Aniki, as he always did, crouched down next to Maria so that their eyes met, and talked to her very kindly. Maria-chan, why were you facing the wall and singing? Ooh. Beatrice said to face the wall and keep singing for a long time. Ooh. So did Beatrice come here? Were Genji-san and the rest still alive then? Ooh. Everyone came into the parlour together and sat down. Genji-san made sure to lock the door. It was locked when we got here. But then, how did Beatrice get into the parlour? Ooh, Beatrice is a witch, so locks don't matter. She turned into butterflies and came in through the crack in the door. Huh? Can't be joking at a time like this. Like hell that happened. What are you saying? You can't believe it. That's why I didn't want to say. No matter how I say it, you won't believe. But Beatrice is a witch. She can do anything with her miraculous magic. That's why Beatrice doesn't care whether a door is locked or not. And then, after Beatrice appeared, what happened to everyone? Beatrice talked to us. She said grandfather's study was protected by a powerful force and she couldn't enter no matter what she did. So she told us she'd select 3 sacrifices from the 4 people in the parlour. Everyone said no way. Kumasawa-san kept saying no way, no way. But Beatrice chose. And when she did, Beatrice said I'd be fine. Why do you think? It's because of the scorpion charm with the 5th magic circle of Mars, the one Battler used to pray for my safety, the one he put his feelings into. Because of that power, Beatrice couldn't do anything to me, and me alone. So she decided to use the other 3 as sacrifices. After that, Beatrice spoke. Come, face the wall and sing a song for me. You will sing lots and lots of songs, so no matter what happens, no matter what you hear, you won't hear, you won't know. Come, sing lots of fun songs for me. So I was singing the whole time, over and over. So I didn't hear anything, didn't know anything. And then all of you came. Ooh. You asking us to believe that? You think we're stupid? And who will you suspect this time? You'll suspect me? Gonna try killing me right here? Even if you do that, Beatrice won't stop existing. Now the 8th twilight is over, and Beatrice will revive. You serious? I've had enough of that talk. As if witches could exist, as if I'd let myself get tricked. I won't accept it. Beatrice doesn't exist. I definitely won't accept it. So I won't let her exist. I won't let her revive. The legend will remain a legend forever. I won't acknowledge something like that. Quit it, Battler. It's not like Maria killed them or let them die. Beatrice came, and Maria had to obey, was unable to resist. Huh? Aunt Natsui? She isn't here. Huh? What? Mom, where'd she go? Just now she left by herself, reading a letter. A letter? That makes sense. The culprit must be so exhilarated now that we've reached the 8th twilight. They might have left the letter so that they could brag even more. We were so wrapped up in questioning Maria that we forgot to look for a letter. But even as well armed as she was, why had she left the room by herself in this dangerous mansion after reading it? Jessica tried to chase after her and tugged at the handle to the door, but it resisted strangely and wouldn't open. Mom? Mom? What's going on? Open up! Open up! It was only natural. Natsui had picked up the candle stand which Battler had thrown at the wall and which had fallen to the floor. She had then skillfully wedged it between the doorknobs on the double doors like a bolt, holding them closed. The intricate design of the candle stand caused it to get caught solidly. It really did make a sturdy seal on the door. The tragic scream of a daughter for her mother. Did it reach Natsui's ears or not? Things are going to get interesting now that all of the sacrifices are, dealt with, according to the epitaph. Natsui's figure was alone in the entrance hall. It was the place decorated by the portrait of Beatrice. Natsui threw down Beatrice's last letter, the one she had read in the parlour, readied her rifle again, and in a voice that rang clear, yelled in the massive space that was the entrance hall. I am Ashuramaia Natsui, representative of the Ashuramaia family. Show yourself, Golden Witch Beatrice. The entrance hall was dimly lit. Other than a faint light which shone on the centre of the room, everything was blotted out by the jet-black darkness. In that darkness, butterflies glittering in gold squirmed, twinkled, sneered. Natsui gave one more huge gulp and pointed the cold barrel of the gun at the gold butterflies. So you have finally shown yourself. I still can't believe that something like you really exists. But that isn't a problem. Both I, who bear the title of representative to the Ashuramaia family, and you, who claim to succeed the headship of the Ashuramaia family, are here right now. At this point, whether you're a witch or not is a trivial matter. Come, let us settle this. Which of us will truly succeed the Ashuramaia family? I, Ashuramaia Natsui, or you, Beatrice? Allow me to respectfully accept your request for a duel. gold butterfly slowly formed a human shape, which walked into the dim light. Natsui readied the rifle and glared. The witch raised her golden staff overhead and laughed. Natsui's finger slowly squeezed the trigger. And go! Battler made an all-out dash at the door and rammed into it, crushing the candle stand that had been barring it and making it possible for a big gap to be opened in the door. He kept kicking the candle stand through that gap, and the door was finally released. At that time, they heard it. They certainly heard the crisp sound of gunfire ring out once. Mom! Mom! Jessica-chan, you mustn't run off by yourself. Was that the sound of a gun just now? Did Aunt Natsui shoot? At whom? At the culprit. The noise had come from the entrance hall, and the entrance hall looked like a stage, like the heroine of a tragedy on the ground and bathed in light. Arrayed in the beauty of that silence, Aunt Natsui lay face up, crumpled on the floor. Half crazed, Jessica ran up to Aunt Natsui. On Aunt Natsui's forehead, it was almost as though a sparkling shard of pigeon blood, ruby, had been placed there. And from it one stream of blood makeup passed by her eye and began to traverse her face. The faint smell of gunpowder smoke came from the barrel of the rifle Aunt Natsui still grasped. Then she shot herself in the forehead? Why? Mom! Yeah! I don't get it. Why did Aunt Natsui run away alone? And why did she shoot through her own forehead? Maria-chan, Aunt Natsui left the room after reading the letter, right? There's no letter here. Damn it, what did Aunt Natsui read? Why was she lured out here? I don't know. Who cares about that? What the hell? Why did she kill herself? Why did she leave me all alone? Jessica clung to her mother's corpse, crying earnestly. My body was consumed with an anger I didn't know what to do with, and I snatched the rifle from Aunt Natsui's hand. I spun around, pointing the barrel of the gun into the darkness on all sides, as though I was pointing a light from a lighthouse, trying to find the culprit. George Aniki, even in this situation, was trying to calmly figure something out, but that might have been a fruitless effort. And only Maria was completely indifferent. So is this all supposed to be some kind of predetermined fate? No, that's not it. This is all a prelude to a wonderful world. The door to the Golden Land will finally open. On the 9th twilight, the witch shall revive, and none shall be left alive. And on the 10th twilight, at journey's end, you shall attain to the power of the Golden Land's treasures, once and for the last time. With this, everything is over, Beatrice. Congratulations. So lead me to the Golden Land you told me of, right now. There, all of the dead will be revived, and even lost love will be restored. So in Maria's eyes, it's just as though all of today's tragedies didn't happen. It's as though all the time she spent deprived of love never happened. Stop it! What's so fun? What's to be congratulated? There were 18 people on this island. 14 are dead. Only the 4 of us are left. I'm definitely not gonna die. Until the night is over. No, until the typhoon passes, and the seagulls gather again at the harbour. I'm definitely not gonna die. I'll stay alive no matter what. Give it up, Battler. Guns are useless against witches. Survival and all that stuff doesn't matter, because it's over. The journey has already ended. See? Look at the clock. The clock? Hearing those words, I looked at my wristwatch. Both needles were almost touching near the top. Very soon, it'll be 12 at night. In other words, 2400 hours. When you think about it, isn't 2400 a strange time? It can be called 2400, it can also be called 000. It's the hour at the culmination of the previous day. At the same time, it's hour 0 as the next day begins. I always thought it was quite strange, actually, myself. Beatrice! Maria suddenly called out happily and ran towards the darkness. It was almost as though Beatrice was somewhere in that darkness, and Maria was running up to her. As Jessica hugged her mother's corpse, as George Aniki stood there confused, I looked down the barrel of the rifle, gazing into the darkness. The space in front of Beatrice's portrait lay in that direction, and the thing Maria was running up to was the portrait's subject. You've got to be kidding me. This is just impossible. Like I'd fall for something like this. Witches don't exist. I won't accept it. Something like you shouldn't exist, because this is a human world. You think I could accept something that's not human? I definitely won't accept it. And I pulled hard on the rifle's lever. The cartridge was ejected, fell on the floor, and a new cartridge was loaded. Then I sighted the witch on the barrel. Maria turned around. Still clinging to the golden witch, she turned around. Didn't I tell you it was meaningless? Mere lead bullets are meaningless against Beatrice. Humans are so stupid, aren't they? I won't accept the existence of witches. Who are you? Just try moving one step. Just try moving one finger. I'll blast you away. Like Team Rocket. Oh god, lots of laughter. As the witches laughed. Even the large clock in the hall joined in on their laughter. Midnight. It was probably telling us that the time was 2400 hours. It was both a tone telling us that we had reached the culmination of this day, and a tone informing us that all had returned to nothing. The rule that the witch would win when time ran out had already been revealed. Battler, George, Nichan and Jessica. The journey has ended, and the witch has revived. See? And none shall be left alive. The witch shall praise the wise and bestow 4 treasures. One shall be all the gold from the golden land. One shall be the resurrection of all the dead souls. One shall be the resurrection of the love that was lost. One shall be to put the witch to sleep for all time. Sleep peacefully, my beloved witch, Beatrice. Oh, I was going to end things off there. Oh, that's sadistic. But we made it to 12 o'clock. What is going to happen next? I can't wait to see how the visual novel does this. It's going to... Oh, I won't say anything. Okay. Oh, here we go. We're at the ending, are we? I wasn't sure if it would... Wait there, can I right click? No. Okay, we'll carry on a sec. The storm passed and the leaden clouds that had enshrouded the island for so long cleared away. From the rifts between the clouds, sunbeams shone, and yesterday's storm seemed like a lie. Just as someone had wished, the seagulls returned to the harbour once again and let their lively cries be heard. Afterwards, the police came and conducted an investigation of the scene. The corpses of the children, who were thought to have survived until the very end, were never found. However, because of the body parts that were discovered and the unimaginably gruesome nature of the scene, the police were forced to conclude that the chances of survival for any of the 18, even those children, the 4 left, seemed hopelessly dim. Just how gruesome was the banquet of the witch, and how beautiful was the Golden Land? They were the only ones who got to hear that tale. No tales were told to those humans who arrived after the banquet was over. The best they could do was imagine what might have happened during those 2 days. However, the witch was fickle. She made a point of leaving behind this tale, which didn't need to be heard, and it was allowed to spread. Then, many years later, a strange wine bottle that had drifted on the waves to the pier of a neighbouring island was pulled out by a fisherman. By fishermen? Man? Inside it was a thin, tightly rolled notebook fragment written up in cramped small letters. Written there was this tale. Through this notebook fragment, people will finally learn the truth of the mysterious and riddle-filled 2-day period that started on October 4th, 1986. This incident was later called by many names such as Rockinjima mass murders or the 18 killings of Rockinjima, though dissidents from around the world knew it as the witch legend serial murders. Lovers of the occult claimed it was all the result of an immortal ceremony sealed off the island. Different interpretations of the story began to spread far and wide, however not one of these interpretations approached the truth. Furthermore, while the notebook fragment describes the mysterious incident, it does not reveal the truth of what happened there, or perhaps even the writer didn't know what the truth was. According to the writer, her name was Ashuramaya Maria. Ooh. Incidentally, as a result of an all-out police investigation, part of Maria's body, a piece of her jaw, was discovered. It was one of the rare instances where a corpse was identified thanks to dental records. At that gruesome scene, there had been many body parts that couldn't be identified as belonging to any specific person, so it is probably fair to say that this jaw is an extremely fortunate find. Because of the jaw had been separated from its body, the police judged her chances of survival to be hopelessly dim. Other parts couldn't be identified. And so let's conclude this tale with the final section of the notebook fragment that Ashuramaya Maria left behind. By the time you have read this, I will probably be dead, although there may or may not be a corpse. You who have read this, please find out the truth. That's my only wish. Ashuramaya Maria. To this very day, the truth of the witch legend serial murders has not been brought to light. Bloody hell. First game, Legend of the Golden Witch result. Oh my god, that was hard work. Kraus died on first Twilight, chosen, yeah. Rudolph, these 6, the top 6, they all died in the first Twilight. They were the 6 sacrifices that had to be done at first. Eva and Hideyoshi, second Twilight. Shimai Kinzo 4th. Kanan 5th, was 3rd. Genji 6th. Nanjo 7th. Kumasawa 8th. Beatrice revived on 9th Twilight, finally opens the door to the Golden Land. Natsui, 9th Twilight, is the witch praised her nobility and granted her the honour of a duel. So yeah, that's what happened there, I guess. George of the 10th acknowledged the existence of the witch, portrayed himself. The witch invited him to the Golden Land. Jessica, and Maria, they all knew the witch, or admitted the witch existed, invited her to the Golden Land. Battler, missing on the 10th. Will the witch invite this man who denied her existence to the Golden Land? The witch will praise the wise and should bestow 4 treasures in the Golden Land. There they chose to revive the souls of the dead and love that had been lost. After all, no matter how large amount of the gold they might have desired, it would have been out of their grasp. George chose his lost fiancée, Jessica chose the boy she had liked and lost. Maria chose the lost love of her mother. Sleep peacefully, Beatrice. Let nothing disturb your slumber ever again. The winner is the Golden Witch, Beatrice. Time ran out before even one of the 18 people could solve the riddle of the gold. All 18 died. When the seagulls cried, none were left alive. Oh my god. So they all died. It said that Battler went missing though, so that's interesting. But it also said that all 18 died. Beatrice won. It never actually showed Beatrice though, did it? As an avatar kind of thing. Bloody hell, is that the end? Is that the end of the first? I know it looks like the end, but is it? Golden Witch has prepared a gift to you in commemoration for your stay. You can find these new features on the title screen. Should we see what they are? I want to see if it's long. Oh, it's a tea party. Okay, we'll do that next time then. So, this has been Greeny XI. Hope you've enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked what you saw. There's loads more to come. There's like another 7 arcs to come. As well as our tea party to end off the first arc. So, yeah, like I was saying, this has been Greeny XI. Hope you've enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again in a bit. And check out the tea party, which I think is going to be like the staff credits, or the staff, the bit of talk with Rock and Jima from the Higurashi series. They did a tea party in that as well, didn't they? They did it in the maid cafe kind of thing. So it's going to give you tips and get to talk about theories and things like that. And it's really good. And so it was short in Higurashi as well, so I imagine it will be here as well. So it'll be more like maybe a bonus episode, but one I think worth watching if it's the same. So thanks again for watching, folks. See you again in a bit.